ChatGPT said Gastown.
Gastown's another location. Yeah, well, now you're just shooting into like different little areas and sections of Vancouver.
Yeah, it's ChatGPT, so you know.
When I started working at Action Movers, we had a weird loft in Gastown.
Welcome to Movified Wednesdays. Let's go. Welcome to Movified Wednesdays.
Welcome back to Movified. I'm your host, Mark Hirschi, owner of Salmons and Ellis Moving and Storage, located in beautiful. I can actually see this today because it's so nice and sunny outside. It's like that crisp, sunny winter day. I got my kids out tobogganing. They had a Pro D day today out with my wife, and they're enjoying the snow and enjoying the sunny days. But we are out here in Vancouver.
What's a Pro D day?
Professional Development Day. Isn't that what's professional? What do you have when your kids have a day off? What do you guys call it?
It's probably different regional, but they call it in service. So like the teachers come to school and plan, but the kids don't.
Yeah. Well, they call it here like professional development because the teachers are going into the class, and I feel like there's lots of those out there. Thankfully, we don't have
I
staff.
think we need those as entrepreneurs. We need a
Pro D day.
Yeah, a pro in-service day.
An in-service day, 100%. I couldn't do this show alone without my co-host, my friend Steven Reed with Big League Movers.
What up?
On Deck Deliveries, and of course,
ReadyRolls.com. I think you can count on me to be flexing one of those brands every episode, whether it be Movified, Ready Rolls, Big League Movers, and On Deck Deliveries. I'm wearing it. Today I'm doubled up. I got the guys' shirts. You're going to see kind of some of our uniform shirts.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
you guys kill it.
Baseball.
I feel like the fact that you have a baseball type of brand with Big League, and we could even talk about. We weren't even going to talk about branding today, but I mean, we can kind of touch on it.
Do we ever go on our plan, Mark?
When we look at it, like, I mean, branding is so key. One of another moving company owner said to give a shout out to both of us earlier, and said, man, you guys need to do an episode on truck wraps and what does that look like on wrapping your truck and branding your truck, or trying to do a rebrand, what to put on it, what to look for. So stay tuned for that episode. But talking about branding,
I was telling you, Mark, I get 2 or 3 movers hopefully listening right now, but send their truck wrapper idea, brand things. It's so cool part of the job.
I think it's great.
Our favorite as being leaders of moving companies is branding's fun.
Well, branding is so much fun, but it's about key. I mean, the reason, rewind the tape, I got involved in the moving industry because of branding, right? My background used to be buildings, websites for companies, and then it started with being asked to redesign a website for a small van line out here in British Columbia. And then they turned around and I looked at them, and it was that standard thing, plain white business cards, the fonts on the business cards were like a Times New Roman, very basic, very standard. But their website was like an Arial, like Helvetica, other standard font that everybody uses. The website didn't align with the brochures didn't align with the business cards, and then a very basic t-shirt with like their logo on it. And when you're talking about rebranding, especially when we talk about, everybody kind of goes, man, okay, I want to fix up my logo. And then, man, everybody is wrapping the trucks. I don't want to be called out by another moving company owner or by someone that says your trucks are basic. They need that rebrand. We did an episode. Make sure you guys look back when we had Eric Works from Works Moving and Storage on the show, and we talked about his whole rebrand of his company. We've talked to a lot of moving company owners of what that rebrand looks like.
Isn't that what the kids say? Like, you're basic.
The what?
Isn't that what kids are saying these days? Like, oh man, you're basic.
You're basic. I hope so. I hope they are, or we just aged ourselves drastically right now. I hope they're saying just basic, but it is just basic. You rewrap your entire truck, you come up with this new look, and then you're still sporting old t-shirts. And so if you just to touch on Big League, when you have a brand like that and it involves baseball, I feel like the world's your oyster, because you can have the baseball jerseys, you can switch things up, you can have the home team an away team. You can have everything. Shout out to Jake Harrison, probably listening right now. But I loved his hat that he was sporting at the Movers and Shakers event, and
Whoa, did you get a picture?
it was definitely fresh. What made me kind of go back on it is with Salmons or with Ellis, we kind of have our logo, right? Just like you got Big League Movers on the hat. And I always have had such a hard time kind of going, I want this font to really pop. I want it to stick out. And what he did was he made two different types of hats. Thick lettering that just says mover or movers, and another one that says Packers. And so when he has the packing crew go out there, they sport the packing hat, right? Hey, I'm a Packer today, or I'm just the mover. And you could also do that if you just want to have a crew on the front, and then they have their logos on the sides of the hat. So again, it's one of those things where it's like, what a cool way to market and advertise your company.
I'll note too, just a little trademark. I've gotten so much feedback. Like I came out with this hat a while back. This is more of a throwback version of the hat to be in style, but this little part right here, am I turning it the right way? No, I'm not. This little part right here, the side 901, where it's our area code. You see how off I am on the camera? I'm like trying to find it. I get so many more people that want these hats and compliments because of the local area code now. So just a little tidbit. Put it in the back, put it on something, but integrate that. Maybe put it like people say LLC, right? Like right here.
Do you have anywhere in your area? Is it always 901?
It is.
Like the whole state? The whole state?
Yes. No, not the whole state. So the west
Just
side
Memphis.
of Tennessee, right? So we have one, Middle Tennessee has one, and East Tennessee has one.
Interesting.
But of course, I service the North Mississippi market. We're in a tri-state and a little bit of Arkansas. But man, they're part of the 901. They all work in the 901. So there's still that sense of pride. They're more bigger suburbs in North Mississippi of Memphis. So it kind of takes the state lines out and it says, hey, we're the Memphis area. Sorry, it's a mirrored. That's going to throw me off over and over.
See, I had the problem because in our city, our main area code was always 604. Like everybody was holding on to the 604 area code. That was the area code forever in our city. I mean, actually, at one point, we didn't even have an area code, and then area code kicks in, I think, in like the 80s or 90s or something. And then it changed to 778 if you had to get a new phone number. And then it changed to like 236, I believe. And so you can always know if someone gives you like a 236 number, you're like, oh, this is a new phone number. Oh, this is something new. So I always find like if I'm going to put that area code on the hats, I'd obviously stick with 604. But are people going to recognize the 604? Anyways, super.
No, it's a big market. Like in Atlanta, I remember they had 3 area codes, right?
Right.
And they were gaining a 4th. So I understand the big markets, but it works here for here. But yeah, it's been a touch that people really are like a little more prideful to want the hat. I've noticed.
I like that. Yeah, it's smart. Okay, today it's our focus, right? We all talk about trucks, crews, revenue, but we never sometimes focus on the one thing that determines how our day actually goes, which is our mindset. And Steven, you're giving me an echo on your side. Just so you know, FYI.
Really?
You are. It kind of comes and goes. I'm getting that echo. Yeah, you're just adding more work for our editors. But listen, we're talking about mindset, right? Today, we want to really unpack. What are we unpacking? You know what? We want to unpack my book, right? The Moving Mindset, which I created.
What if you did like, sorry, this is the ADHD. But what if you did like a Van City? Like just a small that was right there. Right?
Totally.
Isn't that a thing there? Like a Van City, since 604 is like bigger. You could do that same font as kind of like a miniature version just to say where you're at.
I like that. Van City, and then maybe for Ellis, you do the North Shore. They're like North Shore is very popular.
ChatGPT said Gastown.
Gastown's another location. Yeah, well, now you're just shooting into like different little areas and sections of Vancouver.
Yeah, that's ChatGPT. So, you know.
My when I started working at Action Movers, we had a weird loft in Gastown, and I'll never forget showing up as a graphic designer working on Action Movers before I got hired, and I was trying to collect an invoice. I go downtown. I'm in Gastown. I'm in like my early 20s, and the owner at the time like was avoiding my phone calls, so I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna head down there on a Saturday morning. It was like month end or something. I get there early and I walk up, and as I'm walking up to his weird loft setting, I'd probably say two strippers come walking out of his office, like out to the street. I walk in, you got about half a dozen movers there. They all look in super rough shape, like they've been drinking and partying all night. And they literally had the fireman's pole like as part of like a prop in the living room of this office, and I couldn't believe it. And I just wanted to get out of there so fast and just get paid. And then you fast forward and end up buying the guy's company out of him and switching things around. No fireman's pole at that location. It all started in Gastown.
Before we ever started using a moving CRM, someone asked me, could you 10x what you're doing right now with the current systems and processes you have in place? And I said no. And so he was like, well, then you need to just pull the trigger on the software. And then I saw Smart Moving and it was game over.
Austin joined thousands of moving owners on Smart Moving in 2021. Since then, he's more than doubled his business.
And I always compare Smart Moving to Apple products. It's just so simple, so easy to use, and that's really what's allowed my team to scale and now have 2 branches. And last year we scaled Central Coast Moving over 50% growth.
If you're ready to turn your moving company into a machine that drives profit, not chaos, try Smart Moving.
Hey everyone, Matty Mailers here, the guy who pioneered handwritten letters for the moving industry. Why? Because my competition at my moving company was using the same stock postcards as me, and my mailing company didn't care. So I created a better way. Here's some mind-blowing results in July. Miracle Movers Utah closed $93,000 using our handwritten letter strategy. With our campaigns, you can forget about the guessing games. You get a trackable phone number, daily photo proof, an incredible design team, and I'm also included. All letters stop at me for approval before they ever leave our facility. Right now, Movified listeners get 1,000 golden tickets stuffed in our genuine handwritten letters completely free. Plus, I'm going to throw in bulk realtor data for up to 5 counties. What are you waiting for? Moving Letters AI. Stop competing, start dominating.
Look at this. Hey, look, I know you're trying to get to your episode topics here, and I'm throwing you off, but look, this is actually a point in case of misbranding, right? This is my evolution, but this is my first logo, like with the red and blue. You see how small Movers is?
Right.
Yeah, compared
There
to
you go.
kind of how it's changed. So that's a misbranding, but I'm not going to give up a Yeti, a personal Yeti.
No, don't.
Nobody throws
Okay.
those out. Awesome vendor gifts, by the way, at the mover conferences. Y'all keep bringing the Yetis.
Today's pre-trip, we're actually going to get in here. We're talking about mindset.
Get
We're
in
going
there.
on. We're getting in here. Today's pre-trip is brought to you by Movified Masterminds, where movers work on mindset, systems, and accountability at the same time. And that's kind of the theme of today's episode. That is the big thing. It's alignment before action. How are we setting up our days? I did a network walk. I actually really love this. It's a network walk. I highly recommend. I always tell people, if you're going to meet with someone, do a podcast. If you're going to meet with someone for a cup of coffee, go for a walk. Doesn't matter if it's rain, shine, anything else. To spend an hour with someone and stay healthy and go in for a walk with another business leader.
Didn't you walk with the great Dan Martell? Wasn't that a thing?
No, I went for a run with one of his friends locally. And I did like a 5K run where he was, this was a past episode where we knew each other. He was constantly avoiding setting up a meeting with me, and because he was super busy, he's in the fitness spectrum. And I basically messaged him and said, and I DM'd him, like, not privately, like right on one of his feeds. And so everybody had to see it. And I said, hey, great, let's do a 5K run. let's go meet up. We need to get together. And he really had no other option but to say, that sounds great, considering that he's in the fitness area. So it was a smart move. And I can even talk to you about
Brought to you by Smart Moving. Everyone wanted that.
Talking about that kind of network walk. It's about aligning your alignment before action, and sitting there. A shout out to Kevin Parton. He's a great guy. He's in the financial wealth management divisions locally here in Vancouver. But one of the big things he said is, he led his life with a company for like 13 years doing financial management. And at one point, he was drinking. He wasn't really taking he wasn't really caring about his health. And at the end of the day, the company he was working for, he needed a change. He needed to see a change happen. And January 1st, 2024, he basically cut that all off. Cold turkey, no drinking, no drugs, no alcohol. He was waking up now at 4:00 in the morning. He was learning and reading a book a month, if not more. He has 2 young children, a lovely wife, Amy, and he wasn't applying his time effectively with his family, all these kind of things, everything that we kind of go through, right? Like this isn't any news. You think that movers and moving company owners are like, it's just us, right? It only can happen to me. We hear this all the time. Oh, it only can happen. It's me that has the problem. No, it's any kind of business owner, any kind of area of business that is consuming your mind. It's consuming your health. It's consuming your day to day, and you are not putting an alignment before action of how you want to shape your life. We're in January, right? What happens in January? All I see is people posting, "Hey, I'm doing a push-up challenge. Hey, I'm doing the hard 75. I'm living a healthy life. I'm going to reset." Exactly. And that reset, what does that look like? And so me and Kevin, we sat there talking about the fact that we could make a list in December. Let's say a top 10 list. These are the things this 100% I'm changing this. And you probably at the end of the year, when you reflect back in November of the following year, you go, I probably hit 4 of them. I probably hit 5 of them. Did you actually hit 10? Were you actually committed for the entire year to do that? He made a pact with his wife and said, hey, listen, every 3rd Saturday, we're going on date night. I'm scheduling a babysitter. I'm doing this. Hey, I'm going to get up in the morning at 4. That's what all the other successful entrepreneurs are doing. Those are the people that I follow and people that I watch. I'm going to journal. I'm going to meditate. And I said, well, did you fall short? Like, did you say, hey, you know what, babe, like this Saturday, let's just skip this month. And he says, no, what I did is I started to realize, and I love this. I really love this. And I feel like I kind of fall into the sector. We as business owners have no problem planning meetings. We have no problem doing anything when it comes to running our businesses. Do we put the same amount of energy that we put into our businesses and scheduling meetings and trying to create business with our children, with our wives, with our spouses, with our partners, with what matters most, which is our mind, our health? Is this actually happening? And he said to me, he goes, I just started booking it in my calendar. And I made it, I did it exactly the same thing I would for any meeting. I find a location, I find a spot, I'm finding a topic. What are we going to be discussing? And I tell my wife, this is where we're going to go. He might get pushback every once in a while, but at the end of the day, they always made sure they had their meeting. And I loved that. It really kind of led into today's episode where we're talking about the book, right? The moving mindset. Steven said, Mark, we got to talk about, it's a brick. I'll tell you that it's a brick. But we wanted to talk about the book. It's out there right now. If you haven't gotten your copy, you can check out Amazon.com or .ca. It is there. It's a bestseller. It's
It's got a nickname around the house every day. You know me losing things, right? My family's dealing with me going, "Where's my big green book? Where's my big green book?" That is a daily thing now at my household. It's like my iPhone charger, right? Where's my charger? Who's moved it? But yeah, I'm gonna cut you off there. Yeah, yes, I asked Mark to do an episode on his book because he wasn't even going to talk about it. But man, this is I'm so proud. This was when he mentioned he wanted to do something like this. I don't think there was one person who didn't encourage it and say it was a need. And he put it together. And guys, you don't have to start on New Year's Day. Right. But he wrote down a way for you for 365 days in the moving industry. Right. 365 days to go to your day. You don't have to start on January 1st. You can start on February 1st, but you go to February 1st and you just start, you're reading. And every month he has a monthly leadership review. For example, February's theme is character, quiet work, and hidden preparation. Right. And Mark put his heart and soul into what a plan would be like and what in a moving company lens from his experience, right, to help guide us spiritually and plan for our families and our whys. So I think this is an amazing book. He couldn't have said it better himself when he used Proverbs 11:25. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. But I wanted you to share why you wrote it. Most importantly, from what I've heard you say and passionately and being your friend, you needed to write it for yourself, right? So if I could just get a minute on this episode to get you, what does that mean you needed to write it to you? And thank you. I've been in Wooster, Ohio, as you know, since you released this book. People were having it, people were reading it. We all traveled with our big green books and we were talking about it. And then I told Mark right before this episode, I came back home, went to our office, and I saw 2 cubicles with this on their desk. And I walk in Elaine's office and I saw her have this on her desk, and that was no influence of mine. So it's getting around, and congratulations on that.
If you're considering Snowball, just do it.
Snowball creates done-for-you referral programs for moving companies so you can turn happy customers into new revenue without lifting a finger. And the results speak for themselves.
In less than a year, we've collected over 2,000 referrals.
We generated over $200,000 of revenue that cost about $5,000 to do it.
I believe we had 4 or 5 the very first day.
The companies winning with Snowball are the ones that already care about their customers. We just help turn that into new business through human outreach and customer nurturing.
Snowball is part of the arsenal of tools that I recommend to my clients because it works.
Being found on the second page of Google is literally like having a billboard in the middle of the desert. Your mama ain't gonna see it. No one's gonna see it. You're on the second page of Google, no one's gonna call, no one's gonna book. Here is the deal. If your business is not ranking on the top of Google, that means your competitors are going to be stealing your customers every single day. So at Rotate Digital, we don't play any guessing games. We use data-driven SEO strategies to make sure Google finds you first so that these Google searches turn into your customers, not your competitors' customers. How do we do it? We do it through AI-driven keyword optimization, exclusive blog networks, backlinking strategies, and honestly, the secret stuff, the proprietary lead attribution software. So what do you get as a result? You get not only good marketing, but now you get clarity into what is bringing you more revenue. So if that's something you want to do, you want to make sure your leads find you and not your competition, go ahead and go to rotatedigital.com, schedule a call, and we'll help you take your business to the top of Google.
Thank you. I so appreciate that. And shout out to Elaine for purchasing a copy. That was definitely really cool. It was, I want to give a shout out to all those that have reached out to me since the book has come out with their comments and their thanks for having it. And it really just kind of gives me reassurance of why this book was needed. And I kind of want to, I mean, for those that have the book and have sat there and read the foreword, I came from I come from a Christian family. My dad was a pastor that, you know, was doing his ministry as a volunteer, and it made it so that he was a baker by trade and would leave, you know, at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning to do, you know, we always say baker's hours, and he would work all day, and then in the afternoons he would go visit families that were typically from third world countries, bringing ministry to them in the afternoons, and in the evenings he would be at home with the family. Or he would flip that and go visit families in the evenings and take me along as well too. And it really led us to, you know, why Movified Nation also started, because I've always constantly been surrounded by community, whether it's in the church, whether it's through a sense of fellowship, different worldly views from so many different people, whether it's youth groups. I used to teach Sunday school as well too. But I also, you know, have had my ups and downs. You know, I remember growing up as a kid, and I would race to the car because we would have a church service on a Wednesday night, and I'd watch my friends play on the street, and I was like dressed up to go to church and going, "Hey, I want to go play. Like, I don't like this." You know, and then as I got into my late teenager years and you know, legal drinking age, it was one of those things where, you know, I still wanted to go out at night. I still wanted to go and do everything that everybody else wanted to do.
I like how
And
he
it was
covered
almost
himself. Legal drinking age, y'all. Legal. He wasn't doing that free.
legal, not, yeah, legal drinking age. But I wanted to have those experiences. I didn't want to be held back. And, you know, and a lot of you that are listening probably have had this same struggle. You know, you are going out, you're partying, you're doing all these kind of things. Where I give a lot of appreciation is my parents saw I had a talent in playing the piano, and I had a talent in and surrounding myself with children, right? And kids, whether it was babysitting. I just always had a great knack as a teenager to sit there and draw and color and watch kids, you know, and assist in Sunday school. And so they really made sure that on Sundays I had to be there, because I either had to play the piano or I had to teach Sunday school. And so there were times that I would be out till 2 o'clock in the morning, have a good, strong, solid power nap, and then have to leave because I either had to pick up a family to go to church, or I either had to go and play the piano, or I had to go teach Sunday school. I wanted to make sure that I had some type of accountability for myself, that I had to do it. Is that something for longevity? Everybody, like, it doesn't work. You need to be serving one master, right? Like, it's, if you are spiritually inclined, if you have any, you know, you're either going to go down this path or that path, and to try and maneuver both, that's like having like the little fun devil guy on the one side and little angel on the right side, and they're both coming at you to do stuff. This happens why relationships fail. This happens why sometimes businesses fail. You make mistakes without having a clear mindset and having something to go to. Anyways, fast forward all of this. It comes to a trip with that we were doing a conference, a moving conference, and I'm at the gym one morning with Josh Shipman from Coastal Carriers. At the end of the session, he goes, "Do you mind? I'd love to just do a small devotional out of my phone and pray over us and our businesses." And we did that, and it kind of started opening up a light into me, going, you know, I have a couple men's devotional books at home, but they're not really targeted. Like, I follow along, I kind of do it, but it's one of those things where I pull out the book and I don't really actively work on it first thing in the morning. It's something that, like, I'll browse through because there's really no, it just wants me to journal. I'm not someone that does a lot of journaling. and writing down my thoughts for the day or issues that I have. I never really had a diary as a kid. I don't know, Steven, did you have a diary as a kid? No. And a lot of us probably didn't, especially us guys.
It'd be cool now to look back if we did, right?
Oh my goodness. Oh, for sure. And so, I said after the Build to Move conference in Worcester, Ohio with Tim Krupp, I saw that there was several individuals that have a faith base. They from speaking to them and saying, hey, would you be interested in getting together the Sunday morning to do a small devotional as well too? It kind of was spearheaded with me and Josh Shipman, and we had
it
probably
wasn't.
a group of 10.
Wasn't like a long. I didn't know the time, right? So it wasn't like a text out planned thing. And I just want to say that's a tribute to the people who are seeking it, right? You had 10 people, and that was just word of mouth, real quick. To what do we want to do? Because this conference is on a Sunday, right? So pretty cool. So you saw that in the industry a little more, right?
I did, and so right basically as I was leaving that conference, I started heavily working on this book, and I wanted to make it. And I apologize for all those that have the book going, man, this is a big book to travel with. I think when we come out with next year's version too, we will definitely keep them into the quarters. I think quarters are fantastic as well too. Everybody, I didn't want to come up with a 90-day book. I feel like there's so many 90-day devotionals where, like Steven says, you can start wherever you want in this book, but I would commend you that if you got the book and it arrived on January 15th, start on January 15th. And then what's great is that as you complete the entire year, you can lap right into up to January 14th and continue on with there. And this way you can actually have, I was speaking to someone at the Movers and Shakers event, said, I'm so excited to then sit back at the end of the year and put this on my bookshelf that I can pull this volume of my life and almost just say, okay, this is 2026, here's 2027, and see where I was at in my moving company, in my life, in my mindset. Was I applying these challenges? Was I doing my reflections within the month? And I wanted to make it work specifically for the moving industry of how this industry goes through a cycle for the entire year. January to me, like I said in the book, is the loading dock of your year, right? It's the start. It's about identity, a calling. What am I going to do? Because a lot of times, and I was talking this with a couple other moving company owners, in January, I personally find a bit of burnout, right? That burnout kicks in because the entire year just went through. You just got out from Christmas. You're trying to get everything ready to go and kick off. And I find sometimes extremely overwhelmed because I'm looking at last year's wins. I'm looking at the losses. I'm looking at P&Ls. I'm looking at our goal setting, trying to now map out my first quarter of what are we going to do marketing wise, business wise, everything else. I've done the outline back in the fall, right? Our management team sits down, we map out what the next year is going to look like. But at the same time too, technology comes out, right? All this new things come out. You see all the other moving companies doing everything and you go, man, I got to step it up. So this book was specifically made for the moving industry, for movers, and I appreciate all those that have purchased this book. You don't have to be religious to follow this book, in my opinion, but it should hope to give you a little bit of spirituality and give you a sense of like peace as you start off your morning, right? So I highly suggest you read it. Go ahead.
Is it a morning or end of day read do you recommend for best use? How'd you write it? I'm sure it can be either, whenever you can, right, in a day. But did you write it thinking the morning?
I read it thinking that this is your foundation for the morning, right? This is your foundation because there is a challenge in there. So I recommend reading the devotional, digesting over it, having the challenge, and focusing on that challenge for the day, finishing off that with a prayer that's been provided for you. And then at the end of the day, when you have 10 minutes, go back to the reflection question and then journal your thoughts.
Okay. And for the listeners who don't have their copy, right? It's hard to write a small book when you're talking 365 days. So Mark and I are kind of making jokes at it about the size. So that's what it is. But we're not talking. This is a 30-minute read, right?
No.
This is a 5-minute read, 5-minute reflection from my experience so far.
I was scared there for a second. I was like, well, Steven, are you a slow reader? I thought you were like, this is like an hour of your time. No, this isn't. This is the great thing. This is a workbook for you.
Yeah, and
right?
I'm a reader. I'm an ADHD guy, so I'm a reader twice. Right. So and it's 5 minutes, but and then you have that reflection. So that's my experience. So I am a slow reader because I'm going to double dip. My favorite part is the monthly review.
I know. I really want to have that part of there. That was a last minute add-on where I said, you know what, when you finish the month, let's make something that we have to kind of have a review on it. What do we do well? What can we work on? Yeah, there you go.
And it's that simple, but it's a reflection of your last 30 days. So would you recommend 30 minutes to an hour of just once a month, going from month to month?
I'd say so, for sure.
And what do you hope would be an outcome of somebody following this?
I would hope that for someone that has a busy life,
for someone who's never done a devotional,
here's the great thing. Look, for someone that's never done a devotional and is fairly new into the moving industry, or someone that has been in the moving industry for a long time, this book is for you. Why? Because you're going to be able to sit back and go, yes. Like there's going to be that moment of clarity as you're reading reading your devotional. I remember for even myself, because I can't walk the walk I can't talk the talk if I'm not walking the walk. And, it was, I think it was like day 8. I'm just kind of pulling it up because it was for me where I was away and I just had come back. And it was day 8 on here. What I started to realize was, and I got to give everybody on here a little bit of what day 8 actually looks like, right? Small habits shape strong leaders. There's your title. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Big growth in a moving company rarely comes from big breakthroughs, but from small, consistent habits. Your crews don't become excellent overnight. Your business doesn't become smooth overnight. Your leadership doesn't transform overnight. God designed growth to begin with the little things. Returning a call when you don't feel like it. Reviewing KPIs, even when numbers feel uncomfortable. Praying before decisions instead of reacting. Showing up on time. Keeping promises. And to me, it was so key because the day before, I was trying to do so much, right? I was leaving for the Movers and Shakers event. I was trying to get everything all ready to go. I thought I had to do all of these different things, whether it was for my family, whether it's for the businesses, whether it's getting on the plane and getting out there to get everything set up. And I realized that I just have to focus sometimes on just the small little things. Am I actually tackling just the small little things? Because those small little things will be sometimes a bigger effect than trying to do it all at once with one big thing and then sometimes falling short. So, for me, when I'm reading this, I don't have to be
fonder of small bites of the elephant instead of all of the elephant, and it hit you in a good day. It sounds like.
Yeah. Well, and to me, the challenge was choose one small habit to improve today. Something simple but meaningful. And for me, that small habit was just to touch base with my office manager like that day. And she's like, oh, I thought you were going to be on a plane. I thought you were doing this. I thought you were doing that. And I said, I just want to touch base with you because I felt like I hadn't touched base with you, in quite some time. In quite some time, it's more like a week, but I want to try and pick up that habit to do it daily right? And check in, because there's lots of times I'm not at the Salmon's office. You don't have to be religious to go, oh, I fall into the same cycle.
Yeah, because that was my next question is, what you do, what would appeal to this to come all here also to say for our intro? Is it written for those?
I would think so. I think you can take this. I think everybody kind of looks up to the sky at one point and says, why me? Can someone please help me? Why am I going through these struggles? So we all have a sense that there is a higher power out there. You don't have to, like I said, you don't have to, you could be an atheist and still, and in the industry and go, wow, here's a book that I can journal my thoughts. I get a monthly review to see what I've done good. And can I change this to be a good person? I think at the end of the day, the idea of being a good leader and being a good person, you know, are you walking down the street and smiling at someone? Are you walking down the street and saying good morning or good evening? What does it take to be a nice person, a nice individual? So I find that this book is great because it really should start off your morning, right? If a lot of people are going, hey, I read this daily notice, or I read this book about men, you know, and it's some type of mindset journal, or it's this type of book, or I'm reading a chapter, I'm listening to Alex. Why does everybody listen to Alex Hormozy, right? Or Jeremy Minor, or, you know, Dan Martell? Why do we listen to all of these inspirational leaders? Because they are trying to reshape our mindset to allow us to grow. So here's a perfect book to have on your bookshelf.
I got my bookshelves, but I'll show you my desk, which is a hot reads. I've got, of course, our locally owned daily read with Mark. I got something with Alex Hormozy, and then I have Gino Wickman. So you're naming off stuff right on my desk. If it's on the desk, that's the hot read before it goes to the bookshelf. But I'm thankful you wrote this book, Mark. I think it's a wonderful thing. As you know, Mark's going to be speaking at events and going to events with Movified. Same here. Well, now you can get it off Amazon. I know that's how I got the book. You can get it off Amazon, of course, but you can also get it by seeing one of us at one of the events when we go out to you on the conferences.
Hey, it's Mark with Movified, and I'm here to talk about Canada Home Listings. They are the only direct mailer service built specifically for household good movers in Canada. That's right, my hometown. They help moving companies reach homeowners the moment they list their home with proven mail campaigns that drive results. And for the Movified listeners, they're offering exclusive promotions you won't find anywhere else. So go check them out today. Go online, go do your thing, and go find them. Canada Home Listings right now. Go. And then keep watching the show.
Yes, sir. I am off to the Moving Legends retreat coming up at the end of February 26th, I believe.
You know, the Move It Pro does a wonderful retreat there.
Yeah, I'm excited to check it out.
Hopefully, you make actually, I'll say hopefully. I spoke to that crowd last year. You're going to make a huge impact on that crowd. What are you going to be speaking on? I know, but I'm asking for the audience.
The topic, you know, it was one of those things where I was humming and hawing over all kinds of different thoughts and processes, and being the host of a podcast, the last thing I want to do is sit there and ramble about my life and not ensure that there's good nuggets. But the way I got to where I am today was risk. And so I will be speaking as risk in a leadership role. All the different risks, the different outcomes, the highs, the lows of taking a risk, jumping 2 feet first, whether it's in acquisitions, whether it's buying businesses, whether it's buying trucks or hiring staff. We're going to kind of dive deep into that. How did I get out of that in the last couple of years, so that it wasn't me working too much in my business, but working on my business, right? Big shout out to readyrolls.com, right? having VAs and having an EA like Daryl to help alleviate a lot of the time. That also as a leader can give me back more time to spend one-on-ones with my staff, right? So like I said earlier, right, if it's hard to talk the talk if you're not walking the walk. I work on it every single day. I've apologized to my staff multiple times for maybe not being the best leader at times, right? Which I think is also important too, is to take a reflection on yourself. Am I being the best leader for them? And a lot of our time, Steven, and you know it, right? It's a lot of us, we're the problem, right? Like sometimes we have to fire ourselves and get out of it because we are hindering our companies from growth.
I recognize, as I've told if we got a new listener or two, but I recognize early that my business does not need me and my energy on Mondays. In office, I was hurting the staff on Mondays because I live, sleep, and breathe it. So I'm already in the things that they are just recollecting, right? So that's just kind of one example of how you can hurt your business. They needed to get their thoughts, needed to get on the same level of research that I have and go through the week, right?
Totally.
All kind of ways we impact our business and learning on the job. And that's why Movified exists, because we are learning on the job and we want to share so some others don't have to learn that way.
Well, you know what? I got to tell you something. Guess what, Steven?
Chicken butt.
It's time for Dolly Dash. It's a Dolly Dash moment. Brought to you by BHC Insurance. And I kind of wanted to head it back and forth with us, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I'd shared you I shared you a feedback text. We'll leave out names, but I'll share you a feedback text for our sponsor too.
Yeah. Do you want to?
Whoa! Hold on.
Oh,
we have a guest in the laboratory.
We do.
I think this would be a good Dolly Dash.
I think so too.
This is one of the Jeffs that y'all hear about so much that just came to stop by the lab over here.
Hello. I like it.
So this is the infamous Jeff that you've heard so much about, Mark. That
all right. I love
does stuff on the scenes. This is the sales Jeff. So
all right, perfect.
We're going live. It's called a Dolly Dash. Mark's going to ask you sales moving questions or just any moving questions.
Sure.
It might be working for Steve. Questions we're going to dance around a little bit politically. You're a sales guy. I trust you. But we're going to put Mark on the spot. Here's the deal with the Dolly Dash. 60 seconds. Mark can't ask you a question that lasts longer than 60 seconds. And Jeff, you can't have an answer longer than 60 seconds. So.
Jeff, is he coming to sit down? All right, buddy. He's coming.
Does it matter if I wasn't paying attention to how this works?
60 seconds. Yes. Like,
hey, Jeff.
Look at that beard, by the way.
Look at that beard.
Do you think I'm going to ask this sales guy to trim this beard after this meeting?
I knew this was
all right. All right. Well, this is what you walked into it. All right. What do you think is a non-negotiable when hiring sales staff at a moving company?
When hiring at a moving company?
Yeah.
Personable.
To be personable.
Non-robotic. Don't be just a Rolodex. Here's the answer I was programmed to say. Be able to hear the question, answer the question according to the question.
What do you think is one mistake homeowners make when handling a walkthrough?
Probably the circumstance when they just go, you go ahead and walk, I'm going to go do work or something like that.
Oh, do you get that? You go do the walkthrough and...
I try to not do that if at all possible, because that takes away any of my, what I would call my superpower with, I'm not the overly charismatic, doing cartwheels, life of the party. I'm the guy that's going in there and just giving them enough information to be dangerous.
Right. Okay. And then for sales, what do you think is one of the biggest objections that you hear when handling an in-home estimate?
Biggest objections would be, this is probably two sort of answers that the last one as well was, well, I got a better quote, which is always wrong, almost always wrong. It's they got a bad estimate from somebody else, not a better quote. So latching on to something like that without anybody giving them any sort of level of information anywhere, especially anywhere near the level I'm going to give them, but just trusting that off of a 3-minute phone call over the phone, and they fall into that trap, latch onto that.
Hey, I got a good one, Mark. If if you don't mind, I'll throw one in there. We can make this an extended version. We didn't know we were having it. This is like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Sure.
Right? But I'm even going to extend his 60-second answer. But what are some tips that you would tell somebody who's struggling with the customer understanding valuation?
I don't know if it works the same, and he's in Canada, isn't he? Yeah, I'm wondering how different it is. So valuation is probably the most commonly misinterpreted thing throughout the history of the industry, is what people think moving insurance is. Moving insurance, that's built into the cost. That covers structural damage, floor, hit the walls, scratch the floor, run into the house. Covers workers' compensation, which it's pretty crucial to check to make sure they, in Tennessee, it's not a requirement. So some companies, if they got some crazy low hourly rate, to us, we know that they may be able to technically claim they're insured, but they don't have workers' compensation. Now you're setting yourself up to get sued for that. But it also covers moving insurance covers catastrophic loss. We get in an accident, all of their stuff covered up to 2 or 3 million on our policy. So that's moving insurance. That's automatically built into your costs. And then we got moving valuation. Valuation is the handling of your items. And I usually say, if we move this to your new home, has a scratch on it, your valuation coverage option is what kind of determines how that's handled. So federal law requires every moving company offer every customer the exact same basic or standard coverage. That comes automatic, no charge for that. Good way to tell if somebody's operating legally in our country, because we all have to give you that one. The free coverage is what's called poundage valuation. That means pay by the pound at 60 cents per pound. So quick couple of examples for that would be, if we scratch something that weighed 100 pounds legally, we owe a $60 settlement for that particular item. You say 100 times 0.6 equals 60. If it was 500 pounds, you say 500 times 0.6 equals $300. So that's the quick rundown for the free coverage. That comes automatic. That's how you tell if a company's operating legally. We have to give you that one. Most companies only give you that one because that's all they're required to. But then I would like to think the better companies are going to give you an option for an upgradable coverage. The one we have, we call it full value protection. That works exactly like if you wrecked your car. Total depreciated replacement or repair value with a one-time deductible. That's the much more relatable explanation. I tell our customers, I send you an email, but that thing's 4 or 5 pages long, and it frustrates me to read, and I can recite it to you front and back so people appreciate my quick summary I give while I'm there. I truly don't ever try to push it on people. If I had an agenda, I could make really strong arguments either side. That's not what I'm doing. I just present it up front. Personally, I put it on every single quote I do, unless it was a load or an unload, or, we're not going to handle it the whole way. And I leave it with them, but probably 90% of them leave it on when I give them that spiel. That it makes sense. If they're on the fence about it, I tell them, check with your homeowner's policy. You almost definitely have a clause in there that's very similar to that, but your deductible is usually way higher than what our deductible is. Usually homeowners deductible is 1,000 or 1,500. Our deductible, which this can fluctuate from company to company, ours is 250, and it doesn't affect their rates going forward if they file a claim. So
I think I want to point that part out, is he has them check their homeowner's policy, knowing that the deductible is going to be a lot higher.
Yeah, it's all
that's
true. And, every bit of information I ever give out to a customer there is something that, in theory, if they really wanted to, they could go behind me and deep dive and fact check everything I said, and it's all accurate. That's nothing but a sell them if they weren't already sold, because I'm telling them good. That's why I want them to walk the home with me. I'm hitting them with information left and right before I get out of there, and that's just one of the last things I hit them with. And they they will open up, because at that point they realize I'm not pushing in on them. That's why I kind of make sure to point that out to them, because I could truthfully talk them into either option. You know, overwhelming majority of our moves go absolutely fine. So there's a quick argument for the free coverage. You know, it's very easy to argue the other way. So that's a very true statement. I could talk you into either one, but when they go behind me and they can look up for themselves, knowing that I don't have access to their homeowner's policy, I just know that happens. So I'm aware of that, and I tell them that, and they go fact check it, and it's just like, man, everything he's telling me is accurate. I got to trust that guy.
And it's a great sell for the customer. I always try to explain to anybody, look, we're not an insurance company. We're not selling you insurance. We're providing you with coverage. And
the natural
that coverage,
answer, my spiel, and I'm sorry to cut you off on that, it came all from all my years of, you know, when I first started doing it, everything I do is tweaked. If I don't want them to have to follow up and ask, I want to leave them with just like all right, I got it. But that comes from the natural reaction of, I thought you were insured. You know, that's where my spiel came from. It's to totally take that conversation out of play. I've never had any blowback since I've kind of slowly got this I mean, you heard me, I'm not reading anything. That's burned in my brain. I'm hitting that, and I'm watching them react to it. So it got tweaked to that as well when I'm there in home, that it got slowly tweaked to where it is. That's almost that exact spiel I just gave you right there. And I never have anybody give me any sort of blowback off of it. I've seen salespeople struggle with that on the phone when we've tried to get other people that aren't as, you know, well versed in it as I am. They have a hard time initially talking through that with the customer without fumbling, because they don't just take control of it like I did there. They kind of, they feel like they're having to be bashful and tiptoe up to it, and like you hit them with confidence and real facts. That's a next question.
last question for you, Jeff. This is a long dolly dash, but I really like the extended version. Last question. What makes you come to work every day? Like what do you love the most about Big League Movers?
The push to, I mean, in the Memphis market, you know, we're competing with ourselves. We're the top dog here. I mean, I know that Steve is rubbing elbows with top dogs of other companies all over the country and all over the continent, looks like, with this, but just what we're going to try to do to better to up the game even more. I'm proud of anybody we compete against. If they wanted to stay alive in our market, they had to up their game to even have any, to exist. So that's something I hang my hat on. So it's cool to see like what we're going to try to do to improve next, because we're truly not competing with anybody else. We're double the size of our next closest competitor. So it's what can we do to better ourselves.
I love that. Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. I'll let you hop out of the hot seat there and get Steven to come back. And thank you so much for your time.
I'm going to keep him in the hot seat for one more.
We recently hired Ready Rolls to help us with hiring some offshore help, some DAs, and they've done an amazing job. They found the perfect candidate for our company. Not only that, they helped answer the questions that we had about the process. Initially, hiring a BA can be a bit intimidating, but they answered all the questions. It's been an amazing experience. Our BA has been a huge part of our success thus far. We're actually in the process of hiring a few more right now. Definitely see them as being a key part of our growth and reaching our goals in 2025. And another game changer for our company. I'm confident to be a game changer.
Visit ReadyRolls.com. There is now a better way to scale.
I'm going to use this because our listeners hear me talk about it all the time. How has a data activator role from ReadyRolls.com, shameless plug, but how has that impacted your life in sales?
You're talking about from ReadyRolls.com?
ReadyRolls.com.
Yeah.
To me, it's always the biggest questions, and I know you know it, Mark, is the biggest question is how do I use an EAD? How do I use a virtual assistant? So I want to share how in my organization, someone in sales uses an EAD.
So I was doing well before we had a data activator. No mistake about that. I really was. We were doing well, but that's the honest truth. It was good numbers. I know I've been in this moving world forever. It was good for
Let's give him some clout for validation. Jeff sells about $3 million a year.
Yeah, the last year I had before data activator was like 1.7, 1. That's great for a single person on Mover. So that's what I mean. I was doing well, but it was a lot of time, just dead garbage time, tedious mucking it up with the no calls or no action calls. You know, I always say with USA home listings, it doesn't matter if you call, I call, anybody calls. The 90% of those calls are no action, you know, bad phone, somebody's not interested, something like that. So all that time that I possibly used to be spending trying to do that, I'm just pulling up my calendar and seeing where do I go next for my next appointment. So it took me from 2, maybe 3 appointments a day to 4 and 5 appointments a day. And it was just like I hate making phone calls just selfishly. I love not having to do all that, but I love to just pull up my calendar and say, where do I go next? And you put 2 or 3 more appointments on my day with an average booking of, you know, 6 to 8, 5 to 7,000. Just kind of depends on the month, but my bookings are the big move. So you almost double my appointments per day. That's an obvious huge revenue jump. So any of your high value, you know, you want somebody like me, which any higher percentage booking, if they're doing higher dollar jobs instead of doing the grunt work, I guess you'd call it, which is important, that's needed, but it'd be better if we could find a cheaper way to do that while I just keep plowing forward, you know, putting money on the board. That's a real thing that, I mean, that's selfish and business wise. I don't know what else to.
Couldn't have said it better. Couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, that you want to, for especially in the sales side of things, you want to, us as business owners want our sales to be out there, right? We want our moving consultants to be out shaking hands, kissing babies, you know,
I don't make
jobs,
money sitting at the office.
right?
I'm pretty.
Exactly. So if you can delegate those mundane tasks, and increase sales revenues from someone that's doing 1.7 to up to 3 million because you're using a data activator through ReadyRolls.com, you know, it's fantastic. So awesome, cool. Thanks, Jeff.
He didn't know he was getting put on the spot.
Yeah, sorry to blow that
He was
up.
put on the spot. No worries. That was great. This Dolly Dash moment is brought to you by BHC Insurance, trusted since 1915. Moving companies face multiple hurdles to sustain growth and profitability, from doc compliance, hiring practices, to exponentially higher insurance costs. Ask Steve, ask me about it, because you can call Trey today at 501-278-0105 or visit them at bhca.com and make sure you are talking about the Movified strategy. It's ideal. And I'll tell you why, because Steven had sent us a message. I do. And this came from a moving company owner that reached out and said, hey Steven, I wasn't sure how to reach them, but I was listening to an episode and I reached out to Trey and Emily, and they really saved me. I was about to get shut down due to 2 points and wasn't able to get insurance, and they were able to help me out.
Yeah, what a cool testimony. But that's why you've heard me. I'm passionate about insurance because it's such a burden on the industry. And man, I can't say it enough. Trey actually helps you get better for being a long-term partner. Like, he's going to get in there and say, this is how we get a different price. This is how I set you up. This is how you're better off as a business owner fighting this insurance world, and educate you. So I love to give them a shout out and holler at Trey any time of year. If you just did your renewal, you don't have to change that, but you do need to be prepared for your next renewal. Go ahead and give Trey a call so he can start working on that in the background.
For sure. You know, I was going to try and end up on a recap of the events that we went on, but we have hit our target here. Hey, you better watch out, because sometimes my office door knocks, and that's what I'm going to do next time. I'm just going to go grab them and says, come on over.
Well, hey, I know our audience can learn something off Jeff. My organization runs off of him, so I thought that'd be a good good moment to include him when I saw him. And you know how
Clearly
often
need
I
a
talk
beard.
about him.
Clearly need a beard when you work at Big League.
That is a thing. That is a thing, I think.
That is a thing.
We got to look to us.
Well, final thoughts. If you can recap in like a minute or less, your experience. I was at the Movers and Shakers 2 event in Arizona, hosted by Austin Yarbrough, and you were over at the Build to Move webinar conference. I was exclusive to about 15 VIP with the speakers that were all there, and in Worcester, Ohio, with Tim Krupp from Krupp's Moving and Storage and MoveBees. That was the Build to Move. What was your biggest takeaway from there?
My biggest takeaway was more sales leadership as far as the talk, where how I need to direct more in the numbers instead of the vaguer numbers I was looking for. Louis Vassaro start dialing in, and how I can drive that. Summary of the event. My gosh, if you bought a VIP ticket, if you were part of that 15, man, that was some life-changing stuff, because, like, you know, we're in Worcester, Ohio. No offense to Worcester, beautiful town, but nothing's going on. So we had 15 of us, kind of like what you're going to experience at the Legends Retreat. But there's 15 of us just talking. All we can do is talk and watch TV, right? So it turned out that I was going to end up just, everybody comes to the Airbnb every night after the conference. We're talking. Me, Brian Slater, Eric Works, Winston. You know, everybody's talking. They're talking shop with guys who bought VIP tickets, and I'm sharing SOPs, and Brian Slater's doing audits of their webpage and marketing, right? And Eric's making sure they're maximizing their dials. And so it was just really neat to say. That's a very valuable, probably the coolest thing I've seen as far as the VIP treatment. So pretty cool. I haven't got to watch it, so I don't know how it looked on the TV. I've gotten some good feedback, and I think I did pretty good on my speech.
I think you did. I think you did really good.
And I'm pretty critical of myself, so it felt like Maury. I think I told you that. Is like I had a studio audience, but I'm supposed to look at the camera.
You thought you were at Maury.
Yeah, I just picture myself. I'm at Maury. You know, like got the stage behind me. So
you should have pulled out the yellow envelope.
And again, seeing my peers, right? And I look back 5 years ago and know my peers that we kind of worked together, and seeing them on stage impact people, it's just proud moments, you know. So really cool event all around.
You are the father.
Yes.
You are the father.
What about you? Tell us about a summary of the.
Yeah. You know what? Movers and Shakers.
Shout out to Connor. Connor went down there.
Connor was there. Yeah, we got a great little photo, me and Connor together. It was great meeting him from Big League Movers. I think he walked away with learning a lot. I'm going to give you a two-parter. One was I had contacted Austin after the event, and I said to him, this event was exactly what was needed in the industry to bring a hype at a smaller level. The conversations, the way the community was being represented in the industry was so many. I mean, he had at least 120 attendees at the event, and it was nice and tight where everybody was interacting in the evenings. Everybody was hanging out. Everybody was talking, and the speakers were amazing. There was tons of nuggets being thrown out there. And what was great was you kind of walked out of there going, wow, I built up some new relationships. It was great to see a lot of moving company owners that were kind of under that like $1.5 million mark, a lot of up and coming guys that I'm excited to see their journey over the next couple of years, what they're going to do in 2026, what they're going to implement walking away from that conference. But yeah, it was exciting. It was exciting to see Austin, who's a really good friend of mine, part of the Let's Go Boys, out there, really applying all the amazing tools that he learns by having his coaches teach him and what he's being taught, and sharing it out to everybody. So it was great. It was great to see a lot of my peers, great to see my boys out there, and I loved it. The biggest kicker, and I was trying to tell Steven before we kicked off the show, was the headline speaker was Jeremy Minor. I follow Jeremy Minor, but at the same time too, just like some of the guests that come on my show that are of the presence like Jeremy, we've had Tommy Mello, we've had Lance Bachman on the show, I've had Brad Lee on the show.
Reagan Weiss, shout out.
Reagan Weiss, shout out to Reagan, the GOAT. And Jeremy Minor comes walking in, right, with his crew while I stepped out just before Austin was finishing up on stage to go use the washroom. And I thought, man, I watched some of his reels, I watched what he says, and I know that I
Jeff
can't
and
just go
listeners,
up
you
to
heard
him.
that right. He calls it a washroom.
Should I say bathroom? Restroom?
Rest. Yeah.
Come on.
It's a room of
Restroom.
rest.
It's a room of rest. It's a room of Anyways, we can't get into this, all right? Toque, hat, tomatoes. So basically, I walked up to Jeremy and said to him, how do you like to make $50,000 in 15 minutes? And of course, his eyes perk up. He looks up at me and says, what do you mean? And then I introduced myself and explained to him that spending 15 minutes on my podcast could help him, could help give him new clients for his subscriptions for his coaching platform, his programs and everything else. And I really just want to sit down and have a little bit of a one-on-one to him. And he turned around and says, that's fine. You can talk to my assistant. She can get you set up on a meeting. And I said, no, we actually can set up a 15-minute interview right now or right after the show. He says, I don't have time right now. I'm prepping. And I said, that's fine. I'm going to wait for you right after. And as soon as I knew he was getting up the stage, I stood by the back door. And as he was walking off, I opened up the door to him and says, let's go. Let's go sit down. And we hear about this. We hear about this.
This is what Mark does. He kidnaps these people. We didn't know this.
I know.
Some of those other guys, not Jeremy, but some of those other guys were big guys. We need some more stories.
I was really happy. Jeremy was as an amazing guest. Get ready and stay tuned for that episode. It's going to come out fairly soon. But it just goes to show you that A, don't take no for an answer. B, switch up your dialogue on how you are going into someone's house. I mean, this is exactly what Jeremy talked about on stage. If you can get the recap for the conference, great, go get it. But if you were there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's talking about how we set our tone in someone's house. How are we talking? Are we rambling? Are we playful? Are we just talking, a bunch of nonsense and the customer has no idea what we're talking about? But you have to go in there and sometimes rephrase how you're talking. And by doing so, you will not allow yourself, just like even Jeff said, when it comes to insurance, allow the customer to take a different path and now you can't have now they don't want to book with you. Anyways.
Valuation.
Did I say insurance?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Don't get
My
anybody
apologies.
sued out there.
No, please don't. Valuation or coverage. Yes, sir. Guys and gals, this has been a great episode. Thank you so much for all those that have purchased the book. Thank you for all those that watch, follow, and share these episodes.
Amazon, you can get a Kindle version too?
You got a Kindle version as well too. And that's what I had to do for the first week before I came back from Arizona, and there was my book. That's a whole other story there too. I think we shared it on some of the episodes. And
Mark laughed and said, "You got a copy before I did of the official version."
I know,
but you were working hard to get it before the new year, so props.
I really want to get it out there. Yeah, many authors will try and get their own copies prior and everything else. I just want to get it out to everybody before so the year could start. Stay Movified, everybody. Thank you so much. Until next time.